light detection. So in short, yung optics is all about the interaction of light between, okay, its matter, and then also kung paano siya ginagamit or tawag dito, na relay ng iba't ibang optical devices. So actually, we do have several optical devices. So mirrors, lenses, microscopes, telescopes, cameras, as well as fiber optics. Now, ano ba yung kanyang importance? So first and foremost, cameras and photography. So syempre, di ba dito, yung mga nagpo-photography dyan, we are using different, okay, optical lenses in order to bend or focus a certain light dun sa isang figure. And then, with that, doon nabubuo yung tawag to, doon nabubuo yung clear picture na doon sa pag-bend and focus ng light. Okay? Of course, kung hindi mo siya i-focus, o di siya blurred, diba? Ganun lang yon. So, eyeglasses and contact lenses. So, kung malabo yung mata mo, nearsighted ka or farsighted, ginagamit si lenses para i-correct yung mga mata natin. And then, microscopes and telescopes. So, dito naman, so ginagamit siya in order to change the size of an image. Of course, microscope is, ang ginagamit dito is several lenses in order to magnify a certain organism or material. And then ang telescope naman is from a certain point, and then makikita mo yung nasa pinakamalayo. Diba? Applicable siya sa planets, yung mga stars, constellations. And then for fiber optics and communications, so dito naman, di ba, sa halip na copper wire yung ginagamit natin in order to generate electricity. So dito naman ang ginagamit po is mga pulses of light. Okay? Na dun siya pinapadaan, kaya siya ay sinabing fiber optics sa mga maninipis. No, manipis po yan, glass or plastic fibers. Okay? And then again, yung speed. Pag sinabi speed of light, no, napakabilis nun. No, hindi ka pa nakakurap, nakadaan na. For medical imaging and laser surgery, so syempre, nowadays, ano ba yung mga ginagamit natin? Mga endoscope. Diba, yun yung mga cameras na pinapasok sa katawan natin. As well as, no, we do have now several operations to correct, no, yung mga malalabo ang mata. So, LASIK surgery, clear surgery, ang dami na. Next, for solar panels, ayan. So, dito naman, yung tinatawag nating photovoltaic effect. So, kung saan yung mga photons ay, no, photons from the sun or particles from the sun is being absorbed by your semiconductor. Yung mga semicon materials na yun, yung nagge-generate ng direct current, and with that, no, with that, nagiging possible yung pag-generate ng electricity from our solar panels. Next, for optical sensors naman and instruments, ayan, so ibig sabihin, yan yung mga automated devices na gumagamit ng light in order to work. Okay? Example, barcode sa mga groceries, o sensors, so even smoke detectors, ayan, gumagamit niyan. So next, dito naman sa susunod nating part is all about nature and properties of light. So first, what is light? Sabi dyan, light is a form of electromagnetic radiation that can be detected by the human eye. So, again, ang tawag sa kanya is visible light. Diba, yung pinanood ko sa inyong video, visible light is only a part of electromagnetic spectrum. Okay? And kung titignan lang natin doon, kung matatandaan nyo yung video na pinanood ko sa inyo last time, napakaliit lang po na part yung visible light. Actually, yung kanyang ray wavelength only is around 400 nanometers up to 700 nanometers. Again, take note, 1 nanometer is equal to 1 times 10 raised to negative 9 meters. Ganun kaliit. So for violet, ayan, sabi dyan, 400 nanometers hanggang red, 700 nanometers. So dito, no, violet, siya yung may pinakamaikling wavelength. Okay? But take note na sa violet spectrum natin, siya yung may pinakamataas na frequency at pinakamalakas din or highest energy. Si red naman, kung anong ikinihaba ng kanyang wavelength, siya naman po yung may pinakamababang frequency at also the amount of energy for all the visible lights natin. Tandaan yan ha. Next, dual nature of light. Okay, so noon, hindi talaga nagkakasundo yung mga scientists with regards the nature. Kasi ang alam lang nila, no, isa lang yung nature of light. But they do not know yet na okay, no, napag-alaman pala nila na light ay may dual nature. No, paano nasabi natin dual nature? Dahil kung may nag-act siya bilang isang wave and then also as particle. But it depends po doon sa situation. So when it comes with the wave nature, sabi doon, light moves as if it is like a transverse electromagnetic wave. Okay, ibig sabihin 'di ba ng transverse, yung kanyang vibration is orthogonal with the direction of the wave, perpendicular. Ayan. So, interference. So, ito yung kapag nagtagpo yung dalawang, ano bang term yon? Yun, parang sinag. No, parang nagtagpo yung dalawang sinag. Oh. So, it's either pwede siyang maging constructive or destructive. Depende na lang kung paano ko ba siya i-explain? Wait lang ha. Paano ko ba siya ma-explain? Mamaya ko i-explain yung term. Hindi ko makuha yung term. Nasa dulo na ng dila ko. Ayan. Next, diffraction. So dito naman, yung light natin is if kapag dumadaan siya sa isang napakaliit. Oh, para siyang, kung ito yung pader o pinto, yung light natin, di ba minsan parang nakasiwang yung pinto. Oh, yun, diffraction. So imbes na mag-scatter siya, so dito lang siya syempre magpapas. Oh, kung saan lang may siwang. Yan. Next, polarization. So ito naman yung pag-filter of light. Okay, from a certain part of direction. So, pagtulad nito yung application ng mga polarized sunglasses. Para naman, anong purpose no ng mga polarized sunglasses? Para hindi siya gaanong nakakasilaw. Diba? Di ba tama naman ako? Oo. Tama ba ako? Do you agree? Okay. Particle nature. Ayan. So, dito naman, ayan, sabi dyan, light consists of particles called photons. So, there are several evidence ng particle nature. So, una dyan, yung ating photoelectric effect. So, sabi daw doon, yung, tawag dito, parang sa paghihinang, di ba? Maghihinang ka. Anong tendency nun pagka nanghinang ka? May tumatalsik. Diba? Na mga parang several, yung maliliit na lights. Ayun. Next, Compton scattering. So dito naman, sabi daw dyan, ito yung change in wavelength. in wavelength. Okay? Best example ng mga Compton scatterings is the application of X-rays. Okay? Again, ayan, X-rays. Now, formula to get the energy of a photon that is equal to your frequency multiplied by your Planck's constant. So, si Planck's constant, so that is Joule seconds. So, yan ay as is na, 6.626 times 10 raised to negative 34 joules per second. Then, we all know naman na frequency is in hertz, and then energy, of course, is presented into joules. Ayan. So another, we have here several light parameters. So andyan yung speed of light. Again, na-discuss natin to. 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per seconds in vacuum. Ibig sabihin, in space, traveling, papunta sa space. Okay, formula is simply frequency multiplied by the wavelength. Diba, maliliit lang yung formula natin dito. Kakaunti. So illumination refers to the amount of light incident on a surface. Now, it is measured in lux is equal to lumens over square meters. So dito, okay, under din yan is yung ating luminous flux. So kapag sinabing luminous flux, kabuuang dami ng light na inilalabas ng isang specific source. Ang unit naman po niya is in lumens or LM. For luminous intensity, okay, intensity, so meaning the amount of energy, lakas ng light na pinoproduce ng isang certain source from a specific direction. So, unit naman po niya is in candela or CD. When we say illumination or illuminance, kung tawagin, yan naman po yung kung gaano kadami yung light na tumatama on a specific area. Now, unit po niya is lux, or you can pwede siyang i-shorten as LX. Okay. And take note na yung lux, ito yon, 1 lux is equal to 1 lumen per square meters. So, hindi talaga ito formula ha. Yan ay unit. Kaya sabi dyan, it is measured in. Okay? So, ayun. Ayan. Inverse square law. Okay, so this is based on the distance. So ginagamit siya kapag yung point source of a certain light is in perpendicular or perpendicular for the surface. So tendency niyan habang lumalayo ka, yung light nababawasan based doon sa square of its distance. Now the formula for the illuminance in terms of lux, of course, is equal to I over R squared. When you say I, hindi na siya yung intensity ha. Luminous intensity to be exact. That is in candela. And then R squared again, that is the distance. Measured, of course, in meters. Ito ay CD. Okay, let us write a sample problem dito. So, a light bulb with a luminous intensity of 120 candela. So, find the illumination at a point 4 meters away. So, CD, that is your I. And then, 4 meters away, so 2.5. So, 2.5. So, this one is your R. So, simply, you just divide 120 divided by 16. And you will get a total of 7.5 LX or lux. Okay. Just in case naman, ang given sa atin is lux. Let's say, for example, A light meter, measures the illumination on a floor to be 8.5 lux directly underneath a street lamp, which is 6 meters high. So doon pa lang sa problem na yon, ito kasi supposedly ay di-discuss ko bukas, but isingit ko din ngayon for your reference. Ang given natin doon is the illumination on the floor. Okay. Yun yung amount of light na natanggap nung floor. So iyon. Okay. That is 8.5. Okay. And then, from who? Ano yung source? There is a source 6 meters above from the floor. Okay? So, that is your distance. 6 meters. So, ang hinahanap dito, the luminous intensity of the street lamp. Again, ano nga yung luminous intensity na sinasabi natin? Yung lakas nung light from the source. Okay? Yung E, yung amount of light na natanggap ng isang source. So simply, I is equal to E times R squared. Okay? Kung ito is naka-feet, naka-cm, you convert. Okay? Wag agad, kung ito is 6 feet, 1 foot is equal to how many meters? Three, 3.281 ba? Search. How many meters in 1 feet? 1 foot.
Di ba meron tayo?
Ayun, 0.3048 meter. Okay, kung meters to foot, 3.048. Kaya pagka nag-estimate ka, pwedeng 3 na lang iyong gamitin. Okay, so 0.3048 to be exact. Huwag tayo gagamit ng 0.3. Ayan. Again, ang unit, kung ang hinahanap dito sa problem is luminous intensity, that should be in candela. Next, Lambert's cosine law. So, what if the light ay hindi siya directly tumatama or diretso? Let's say for a certain example, pader. So, pwede siyang nakatagilid, no? Naka-anggulo. So, yun yung application ni Lambert's cosine law. So, the formula is equal to I times cosine theta divided by R squared. Now, si theta, that is the angle sa pagitan ng incident ray and the normal line. Okay. When we say normal line, yan yung imaginary vertical line which forms 90 degrees angles from the surface. And take note, at nakalagay dyan, take note, yung daw pinaka-maximum illumination can occur when your theta is equal to 0 degrees. Dahil, di ba, pagka cosine 0, that is equal to 1. So, syempre, sa paglaki ng anggulo, ano ang tendency nyo? Lumiliit yung value ng ating E. Nababawasan yung liwanag. Ayan. So, let us try an example. So, a 200 candela light source illuminates a surface 5 meters away at an angle of 60 degrees. So, you find the illumination. Oh. Dito, direct substitution lang. So, nagbigay ng angle. So, 60 degrees. Also, nagbigay ng I, luminous intensity, which is 200 candela, as well as your distance, 5 meters away daw. Okay. And then, ang unit again is equal to lux. Ayan. Excuse me. Next. Ayan. So, mga diffuse reflections. So, diffuse reflection can be defined as the type of reflection of light or an incident ray where scattering happens at many angles and not just at one angle. So, mamaya, ipapanood ako sa inyong video, reflection and refraction. So, doon sa video, maganda kasi yung pagkaka-discuss doon. Kasi doktor yung nagdi-discuss. May sample problems din siyang na-mention. So, maganda yung mga sample problems doon kahit konti lang yun. So, dito naman, yan, reflection of light. Sige, papanood ko muna sa inyo. Teka. Yung mga naka-tablet dyan, screenshot nyo na lang yung sample problem. Pag na-screenshot nyo, dun kayo magsagot or dun nyo na lang i-copy yung solution. Sinong naka-laptop na pwede mag-present? Kasi hindi talaga siya nagana sa akin. Hindi nagririnig yung sounds. Sige. Sige, yun na lang. Sige, wait lang ha. Ayan, sinend ko dito sa Meet. You can save this for your reference. Makinig ha, magandang pagkakadiscuss dito. Tapos mag-start ka na doon sa 1 minute. Move mo na ng 1 minute. Yan. Makinig, magandang discussion niya dyan.
So reflection is a phenomenon where light bends back from a boundary. So a boundary is an interface between two medium. So a medium can be a solid, liquid, or gas. So there are two types of reflection. Specular reflection is reflection from a smooth surface, such as a mirror. So basically, light bends back from the boundary. So this is the boundary in this region here. This is glass here, the mirror, and this is air here. So this is the boundary. So light bends back from the boundary in reflection in general. So specular reflection, the word specular is actually from a Latin word for mirror. Basically, a mirror reflection, a specular reflection. So when you see yourself in a mirror, you see a specular reflection. Now, there's also what we call diffuse reflection, and this is reflection from a rough surface. So basically, in diffuse reflection, this is the reason why we see everything around us. Why everything around us is visible to us. And that is because of diffuse reflection. The reason that you see me now is because of diffuse reflection. So light uh, reflects from my light sources here, from my ring lights here, and it reflects from my body towards your eyes. And that's the reason why you can see me. So diffuse reflection. So everything around us is visible due to diffuse reflection. So the light that you see from the moon is basically just light diffusely reflected from the sun. So take note, the moon is not a self-luminous object. The sun is a self-luminous object. It generates its own light, but the moon is not. So it's actually the light that we see from the moon is just the light diffusely reflected from the sun. And diffuse reflection is different from a specular reflection. So in specular reflection, you have a mirror-like reflection. Now, in this course, we will just be focusing on specular reflection, in mirror-like surfaces. So we have what we call the law of reflection. So the law of reflection states that the angle of incidence is just the same as the angle of specular reflection. So if you have an incident ray or an incident light represented by this ray, it will bend back from the boundary. It will be reflected. It will bend back at an angle. The angle of reflection is equal to the angle of incidence. And both of these angles are measured from the line perpendicular to the boundary. So this is our boundary. This is medium A. This is medium B. The mediums can be solid, liquid, or gas. And the angles are measured with respect to this line that is perpendicular or 90 degrees with respect to the boundary. So that is the law of reflection. So the angle of incidence is just equal to the angle of reflection. Now let's go to the second basic optical phenomenon, refraction. So refraction is bending of light ray, but instead of bending back, it passes through a boundary, but it still bends. So in general, uh, a boundary can actually reflect and refract light. So if this is our boundary here, light can actually be reflected, and simultaneously it can also be refracted. It will pass through the material, but it will be bent. So it's no longer in the same original direction. So light will be reflected and light will also be refracted. So for instance, in this picture here, you will see that the woman sees a reflected image of this hat because this is glass, but still this can have specular reflection. This can act like a mirror. We do it all the time, right? When you see a glass pane, uh, sometimes we can see ourselves because there is reflection and refraction in a glass surface. So the woman sees a reflected image of the hat, but the man inside or behind the glass sees a refracted image of the hat. So both in this case, both reflection and refraction happens simultaneously. And in general, uh, those two things happen simultaneously, reflection and refraction. So if you have an incident light, it will be reflected. Some of it will be reflected and some of it will be refracted. If all of it is reflected and there's no refracted, then that means that your boundary is a mirror. So only mirrors have almost 100% or 99.99% reflection and very negligible refraction. So that's what happens in mirrors. All of the lights are reflected back. There's no refraction. But in general, in uh, uh, objects or in a material or in the boundary between two media, there's always reflected and refracted light. Okay. So this is a classic example of refraction. Since light rays are bent on when light passes from say one medium to another, such as this one, the light rays from the physics professor's body in the water is actually bent when it passes from the water to the glass to air to our eyes. So it's bent. Light is bent. So you will see here that it looks like a headless person, but that's actually just refraction. Light is bent. Uh, this is a natural thing. This is not a magic trick. This is a naturally occurring phenomenon. This is a natural thing. There's nothing magical about it. It's just plain physics. It's just plain nature. So that's nature. That's natural. So light will bend when it passes from one medium to another, or when it passes through a boundary. So how much bending can light bend depends on the index of diffraction of a material. So it can be described as the ratio of the speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in the material, or the ratio of their wavelengths in vacuum and in that material. So index of refraction is n. It's a dimensionless quantity. It has no unit. It's just a number because it's the ratio of the speed. So the unit of if the numerator is a speed value meter per second, the denominator is a speed value meter per second. So the unit cancels out. It's a dimensionless quantity. Now, light travels actually more slowly in a material than in vacuum. Now, in contrast to sound, sound needs a medium. Sound needs a solid, a liquid, or a gas in order to travel or propagate. But light is different. It's a non-mechanical wave. It doesn't need a medium to travel. It can actually travel in empty space in vacuum. And if there is a medium, if there is a solid, a liquid, or a gas, it actually makes it travel slower. So basically, uh, a medium or a material is just a hindrance to light. So light travels more slowly in a material than in empty space or vacuum. So in a material though, only the speed and the wavelength of light actually changes, but its frequency remains the same. So when the speed of light in a material changes, its wavelength will also change. So okay. So these are some of the index of refraction of different materials. So if you have air, uh, that's basically one. It's the same as vacuum. So usually when we discuss about air, we can treat it like vacuum. So when in vacuum, when the speed is equal exactly to c, then n is equal to 1. That's the speed. That's the index of refraction of vacuum. But if you notice in air, it's 1.0003. But usually we just round this up to 1. So basically, you can just say that vacuum and air have the same index of refraction. If you're not concerned with the precision of your values. So for liquids, you have methanol, water is 1.333, ethanol 1.36, glycerin 1.473. Then you have solid ice 1.309, rock salt 1.5, uh, glass 1.5 to 1.8. And you will see in this table, in the solids, diamond has the highest index of refraction. It's because index of refraction is directly proportional to density. So the more compact, the more dense a material is, the higher is the index of refraction. So similar to the reflection, we also have a law of refraction. So this states that the angle of uh, ref- uh, the angle of refraction is actually inversely proportional to the index of refraction. So this is also called Snell's law. So you will notice here that the index of refraction and the sine of the angle is actually inversely proportional to each other. So if you cross multiply this, it will go into the denominator. So therefore, the relationship between n, the index of refraction, and the sine of the angle is inversely proportional. So meaning, the higher the index of refraction, the smaller the the angle of refraction. So for example, in this case, we have light incident from medium A to medium B. But medium B, the index of refraction of medium B is greater than medium A, meaning the angle of refraction in medium B will be smaller. And the angle of incidence in the medium A, since it has a lower index of refraction, larger angle of incidence. So it's inversely proportional. So refracted light will bend away from the boundary if light enters a medium of higher index of refraction. So this is the boundary. So light will now bend away from the boundary if it enters a medium of higher index of refraction. And it will bend towards the boundary if it is entering a medium of lower index of refraction. So in this case, the light is entering a medium of higher index of refraction. So these are just again some examples of refraction. So you will notice that you place a ruler in water, the ruler will actually appear to bend, but actually it's the light that bends, it's not the ruler. So what you see actually is just an image. So what you see here under the water, what you see here is just an image. It's not the actual ruler, but the image of the ruler. So because light bends from water to air, so you will just see an image of the ruler submerged in water. You will not actually see the actual ruler, but the image. So the combination of the object and the image will now look to you as bending. The ruler has become bent, but actually it's the light rays that bend. And what you see is an image of the submerged ruler. So the light from the ruler travels from water to air. So see, from water to air, so it travels from a higher to a lower index of refraction. So it will bend towards the boundary. So instead of this red light here going straight, it will bend towards the boundary. Okay. So another example is light ray from the sun. So when light ray from the sun enters our atmosphere, it can actually bend, especially during sunset. So during sunset, you will notice that the sun looks not perfectly circular. And that is because light rays from the sun is bent when it enters our atmosphere. So in this case, light rays travels from vacuum of space to a higher index of refraction, our atmosphere. So it will bend away from the light will bend away from the boundary. Okay, let's now have some example. So this is an example on how to find the speed of light in a material. So specifically in this case, water. So light diffusely reflected from a fish travels from water to air. So the question now is, what is the speed of light in water? So light from the fish, it goes from water, travels from water to air. So what is the speed of light in water? So knowing, we know the speed of light. We know the index of refraction of water. It's 1.33. We know the speed of light. So we can now solve for, we know the speed of light in a vacuum, C. So we can now solve for V, the speed of light in water in the material. So V is just C over N. C is 3 times 10 to the 8 meter per second over N, 1.33. So you will get 2.26 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. Or if we just solve it without just using C, so you just have substitute this with 1.33. So 1 over 1.33, you will get 0.75 C or 75% of the speed of light. So when light travels from, say, in the vacuum, from vacuum to water, light, its speed is actually reduced by 75%. Or no, reduced to 75%. So from the C, speed of light C, it's now 0.75 C. 3/4 na lang ang speed of light. So 3/4 C or 0.75 C. Okay, this is an example of refraction in water. So suppose you are trying to spear a fish, spear a fish in which you apparently see is 1 meter underwater. So if the light from the head of the fish is refracted at an angle of 30 degrees, where exactly should you aim? And second question, if you use a laser instead to simultaneously catch and fry the fish, where exactly should you aim? So you see a fish 1 meter from 1 meter below the boundary of the air-water boundary. But take note, as I mentioned earlier, the fish that you see is actually just an image. That's not actually the actual fish, because light rays from the actual fish are actually bent when it goes to you. So what you see is actually the image, the apparent position of the fish, but the actual fish is actually below. So aim, if you want to spare this fish, uh, you should aim lower, because the actual fish is actually under the image that you see. Again, that's because of refraction. So uh, fishermen who do this are actually very familiar with this. When they see a fish, they will target or they will aim below the image of the fish that they see. So where should you aim? So we need to find this distance. So we know that this distance is 1 meter. We need to find this distance, the actual position of the fish. So we see two right triangles here. This right triangle, where one side is 1 meter, one side is x. And then we also see this right triangle here, where this side is the distance, the quantity that we are looking for, and this distance is x. So we need to solve this. In order to solve d, the distance, we need to solve for x. So we need to solve for x first. Okay. So before we can solve for x, we need to find first the angle of incidence, this theta. So it's 3 unknowns pala. So we need to find this angle here, angle of incidence, and x before we can solve for d. So we need to solve for this and this first, these two terms, two unknowns, before we can solve for d. So it now reduces to a trigonometric geometric equation or problem. So from Snell's law, we can solve for the angle of incidence. So we are given with NA. NA is water. A is water. Incident, incoming light ray, is coming from the water towards the air. So this is water. NB is air. So we manipulate the equation and solve for theta A. So sine inverse of NB sine theta B over NA. Okay, that's just a simple manipulation of equation. Substitute all the values, and you see that the angle of incidence is 22.08 degrees. So this is the angle of incidence, and the angle of refraction is 30 degrees. So since water has a higher index of refraction, it will have a lower angle. That is the Snell's law. It's inversely proportional. Okay, so we now know theta A. So then we need to solve for x here. So to solve for x from this triangle here, we use tangent. Tangent of 30 degrees is just opposite x over adjacent 1 meter. So then we can solve for x. X is 1 meter tangent 30 degrees, or 0.58 meters. So we now have solved the two things that we need in order to solve for d. So then we can now solve for d again using tangent. So tangent of theta A is opposite of theta A, which is x over d. That one, property of tangent. Opposite over adjacent. We can then solve for dx over tangent theta A, and we see that d is 1.43 meters. So meaning, where should you aim? So you should aim 0.43 meters below the actual fish. So if you see the actual fish, that's 1 meter below the boundary, you should aim 43 meters below that. Sorry, not 43, 0.43 meters, 43 centimeters below that, in order to spear the actual fish. So that one. Now, second question, if you use a laser instead to simultaneously catch and fry the fish, where exactly should you aim? So if you use a laser is a light. Laser is light. So you can aim it directly at the image that you see, since the laser will just bend towards the fish. So if you use a laser, so the laser will just enter the boundary and it will bend. So the laser will just enter the boundary and it will bend towards the fish, because laser is light, it will bend. So if you use a laser, you can just aim it directly at the image that you see, because it will just bend towards the actual fish or the actual object. Okay. So that's the end of the lesson, the basic
Ayan.
phenomena
Thank you.
on light propagation, reflection, and refraction. In the
Hmm.
next lesson,
Formal attire.
Ano oras? Ano ba? 7.
Ayan. O, di ba? No? Ang galing mag-explain, ano. Kasi yung huli niyang diniscuss ni Sir, ni Doc, ito yon. Ito yung sinasabi, ito yung diniscuss niya. Yung sa angle of incidence, angle of transmission or refraction, okay, which is basically the application ng ating last topic, which is Snell's law. Oh, yun talaga yung pinaka-last topic natin. Okay. Actually, yung example ay dapat ganun talaga yung example sa mga problems natin dito sa physics. Okay. Na-try natin magbigay ng mga sample problems na ganun din bukas, no? But ang maganda naman is naiintindihan nyo yung concept ng optics. No, bukod doon sa konti lang naman yung mga formula, kakaunti lang. Malilito lang kayo diyan siguro sa mga constants. Kasi ang dami nating constant na gagamitin. Also, ayun, so going back dito sa Snell's law, nag-explain na yun ni Sir. So sabi dito, the way in which a ray refracts at an interface between materials which with indices of refraction and sub-I and sub-T is given by Snell's law. So the formula that we can use here is n sub 1 times sine ng theta ng angle of incidence is equal to n sub t, which is your index of refraction, times sine of its angle of refraction. So bakit ba natin siya inaaral? Si Snell's law. Ba't natin siya inaaral? So una, inaaral natin siya to find the angle of incidence. At what angle mo i-aim yung isang target para tamaan siya? Tulad nung example kanina. Next, angle of refraction. What angle nag-bend yung let's say light or material? Di ba kapag yung straw na clear water o clear glass, ilubog mo yung isang clear straw. Tinignan mo siya sa palabas. Yung straw is not straight. Nag-bend siya pababa. Okay? Yun. Next, and then for number 3, to find the refractive index. So not all the times given yung refractive index. So mayroon tayong mga table na pwedeng gamitin for reference in order to get the refractive index of the material. So iba't iba po yun depending doon sa material. Katulad niyan, Okay, syempre sa vacuum, when you say vacuum, na space, okay, ang index po niya is 1 hanggang yan sa typical crown glass to 1.52. So pwedeng ito lang yung ibibigay sa inyo, and then there's sample problems, and then kayo na yung maghahanap. So try tayo agad ng example para magets natin. So array of light from air is incident on a plexiglass at an angle of 29 degrees. So it is bent at an angle of 35 degrees. So what is the refracted index value of a plexiglass? Excuse me. So dito, of course, ano yung given sa problem? Ang given sa problem muna is yung index should be the index of refraction. Refraction ng anong medium natin. Okay. Una dyan is yung index muna ng air. Okay. Index muna ng air. Okay. Ano ba yung index ng air? Binaba natin yan. Okay. So sabi dyan, ang index ng air is 1.0029. Okay. So Ni is equal to 1.0029. Ano pa yung given? Its angle. Okay. Angle of incidence is equal to 29 degrees. 29 degrees. And then, ano pa? Plexiglass. Okay. Plexiglass is bent at an angle of 35 degrees. So, refracted siya kasi bent. Theta, T, or R, that is 35 degrees. And then, ano pa? Anong hinahanap? Refracted index value of the plexiglass. So, meaning, ang hinahanap dito ay yung ating NT. Yung ating refracting medium. Siyempre, kung ibababa mo siya, wala tayong makikita dyan na plexiglass. Okay, so, we cannot use yung ganong method. Formula. The formula is ito. You simply substitute 1.0029 times sine 29 equal to yung ating NT times sine 35. Okay, so NT is equal to 1.0029 times sine 29 divided by sine 35. What will be our index of refraction for the plexiglass? Okay. Can someone confirm kung 0.847 ngayon? Ayun. So meaning, our NT here is equal to 0.847. Next example. Ayan. Let's say we have here a ray of light from air is incident on a crown glass at an angle of 75 degrees. Anong given? Angle of incidence, that is your theta I, 75 degrees. Next, it is bent at an unknown angle. So we do not know the refracting angle or yung ating theta sub t. So what is the angle of refraction of the crown glass? So dito, ano yung dalawa nating material? Medium. Air and then the crown glass. So meaning we'll be getting its index from the table. So for a crown glass, so a typical crown glass has an index of 1.52. Okay. And then, yung ating air is 1.0029. Now, ano dito? Okay. Ano dito sa tingin nyo yung ating incident medium? Yung air or yung crown? Kasi pwede pa rin naman kayo magkamali kahit mahirap, kahit madali lang yung formula kung nagkabaliktad kayo dyan. Okay, the air. Thank you. And then, yung ating refracting medium, that should be the crown glass. Yan. So, substitute. No? So, 1.0029 times sine 75 is equal to 1.52 times sine theta o sine x kung ikakalculate. Ang nawawala is r theta. Nawawala. Gusto mo makasure, no? Gusto mo makasure sa calcu. Hindi ka makapagtiwala sa iyong ship solve. Ang hinahanap natin dyan is yung ating angle of refraction. Yung ating theta doon. So, arc sine 1.0029 times sine 75 divided by 1.52. Pwede yan. Nakukuha nyo yan. Anong ating angle of refracted index? Okay, 39.47. Yan. Meaning, ang ating final answer should be 39.47 degrees. Take note, hindi kayo magrarad ng calcu dyan. Ang inyong calcu ay hindi naka-radians ha. Naka-degrees dapat dahil walang magre-radian ng calcu. Mamamali kayo dyan. And then, hanggang doon na lang yung ating, yung isasama ko sa finals. Kasi ang dami-dami na. Hanggang dito na lang. Kasi, ito na yung pinakamadali eh. Yung hanggang dito sa Snell's Law. Kasi naman ay, kaya natin siya tinitik yung subject is, foundation lang po siya. Mas madudugo pa yung aanuhan nyo dyan sa higher year. So, kayo na yung bahalang tumuklas doon sa higher year. Tapos na ako dyan eh. Kayo na yung bahala.